young African leader. Okay, I mean he's an unashamed and unabashed, staunch Africanist. Okay, and one could even somebody even try to compare him, call him as a younger version of Robert Mugabe in the South. Okay, so there are so many different avenues that could be employed.
But according to Codec, those avenues have been cut off because, of course, here in this country, there are so many watchdogs, so many checks and balances and separations of power. The president, well, we don't have one here, but even in the US, the president is not all powerful. Here, the prime minister is not all powerful. But in the Gambia, of course, and many other African countries, the president has his hands on every lever of state. So how can these guys change their government legitimately?
Let me give you an example, Henry. Was it early this week? Yahya Jammeh apologized to Britain, right, for erroneously accusing it of complicity in the attempted coup d'etat. I mean, 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, even a year ago, would the same Yahya Jammeh, offer such an apology?
Are you saying that he's changing?
It shows a change, yeah. See, somebody...
But from what to what?
Yeah, somebody once said that, look, the only constant in life is change, okay? And look, Yahya Jammeh wouldn't be in power in Gambia forever.
Well, he did say with Allah's will, he will reign for 1 billion years.
Yeah, but he will be forever. Yeah. I mean, he will die sometime.
Yeah.
Whether he will die at 90, 50 or whatever, but he will be power forever. But you see, the situation, it could be dynamic. It could change. And the civil society, could get a chance to agitate, for peaceful, credible elections, to see this guy out, if they want to see him out.
But isn't that what Codec has been doing all this time? Respond to John F. answer.
Listen, look, the Gambia is a very, very small country. The government looms very large. It is the market, it is the employer, everybody depends on it. It's the one that gives contracts. Therefore, people gather together in order to be able to have to access resources. It's only from government. So government, from the point of departure, a Gambian government is usually extremely powerful. You mentioned the executive powers of the presidency in the Gambia. It's more pronounced in the Gambia than it is anywhere else in the sub-region. Then you have, add to that, a despotic ruler, somebody who is unashamedly very despotic, somebody who threatens people, somebody who carries out extrajudicial killings, somebody whose record on human rights by any standards is exceptionally low, very, very poor indeed. Yeah,
you're putting all these points to us right now. Let me put that to our people. Let me put that to our guest, Samsudeen Sarr, who is in the States, who knows President Jammeh very well, and who apologized to him for saying the kinds of things, Abdoulaye Jobe, that you have just said now. How true are those things, i.e. extrajudicial killings, just rampant despotism? What say you to that?
All right. Okay, let me just come back to that specific point. I think we should be a little more respectable in the way we, use the language we're discussing. This is a nice discussion that we should not contaminate with, outrageous statement. However,
but if somebody, sorry, Samsudeen, but if a president, a ruler, whoever they are, is carrying out extrajudicial killings, detention without trial, persecution of minorities, then there is no nice way of dressing it up. And Abdoulaye Jobe says, and so does Amnesty and other human rights watchdogs, that that's the case. I didn't see that when I was in the Gambia, but I was somebody there as a journalist and as a tourist, free to come and go as I please. But if I was a Gambian who wanted to agitate politically, maybe it would have been a different thing. What say you?
Yes, coming back to, it is very difficult to really come with this solid evidence that Gambia will just, out of nowhere, start killing people who try to talk against him, do this. You got to understand the history of the change in the Gambia in 1994. Up to 1994, Gambia never enjoyed that kind of independence that was really authentic as we know now in the Gambia. Because in the previous life, I was in the armed forces, and I saw the difference between what prevailed before and after.
Under the regime of Jawara, yeah, the independence president.
Yes, he was independent president Jawara up to, well, he was there for 3 decades. But by 1994, as a member of the armed forces, looking at the way the country was being ruled and the whole thing being monopolized by families, the whole government system was being run by few families and few individuals who, if you look at even the records in the offices, you will see that it was like father, son succeeding
so you
father.
felt basically that there was a presidential dynasty. We'll come back to what you feel about the Gambia in just a moment or two, but let's go to the people, because lots of you have been leaving comments on our Facebook page this week, so let's take a look at a few. And we'll start off with Mariam Sane, who says, "Now is a time that all Gambians should come together. Our country is a stable and peaceful one, and we want to keep it that way. The days of coups should be over, especially if we want the Gambia to develop." Then this from Lamin Chronics, who says, "I don't really support the coup, but it's a sign of frustration. After all, Jammeh has been in power for 20 years, and some of us have had enough of him, always blaming the West for his own failures, while at the same time repressing his people." And this one finally from Chima. Chima says, "I watched your recent interview with Jammeh and wish we had a leader like him in Nigeria. Look at what happens when you have a weak president, chaos and rampant corruption. Africa needs more leaders who are prepared to speak their mind and inspire the nation with a real plan for development." And if you'd like to get in touch, here are some of the ways in which you can do so. Let's pick up on one or two of those points, particularly Abdullah Job from Chima, who said, look, when you have a weak president, and I presume he's referring to Goodluck Jonathan, who's up for re-election in February, you get chaos and rampant corruption, and not to mention what's taking place with Boko Haram in the north of Nigeria. When I spoke to President Jammeh, he said there would be no kind of extremism in his country. We are Sunni Muslims and we practice real Islam here, but during Christmas you would think it was a Christian country because we're all related, we're all Gambians.
That's all propaganda. Yeah, Jammeh believes in nothing. He believes in himself. There is the same...
well, he told me that he believed in African development.
I don't know what
development of his country.
What does that mean, for heaven's sake? Yeah, Jammeh uses these words. He's an Africanist. People tell me he's a Pan-Africanist. I'm not sure Jammeh has the faintest idea what the concept even means. Yeah, Jammeh uses these cheap slogans in order to be able to popularize himself. They mean nothing to the ordinary Gambian. I don't think it means anything to him. His government is as inept, as corrupt as the government that it replaces. Now, I have nothing good to say about the government that he replaced. I was one of the main critics of the government. In fact, I came out into exile, and I was the first Gambian exile from that regime. So I was a victim of the regime anyway. So to some extent, I agree with Samsudin Sarr when he said that. I'm not going to take a swipe at him for the difference of opinion we have on the other issues. But in the ineptitude of the present regime, it's bloodthirsty ways of doing things.
Having said that, John Ansah, you said that in the sub-region we've had enough of coups, we want stability and presidents with vision. What would you say about the Gambia at 50? President Jammeh is still in power after 20 years.
Look, we need Obama, when he visited Ghana in July 2009, I think, said, look, Africa needed not strong men, but strong institutions. But I would differ slightly. Sometimes in Africa, we need strong men. Without a strong man, we cannot have the strong institutions. Take Nigeria. I mean, a Nigerian just wrote describing his president as weak. Okay, the institutions are there in Nigeria, but there's no strong man to ensure that those institutions do what they were set up to do. Look, you got somebody, look, let me go back to Ghana as well. I mean, Ghana, we're enjoying relative peace and stability because we had a strong man in Jerry Rawlings, right, who came in 79 and back upon a house cleaning exercise, executed about 6 or so generals, including 3 former heads of state, okay? I mean, did all sorts of things.
But did that really have to happen? And remember, the main criticism of President Jammeh
in the evolution of every country,
yeah.
in the evolution, I also said the evolution of every nation, these things do happen. Look, France had their revolution. That's when the guillotine was introduced. UK, England had its revolution with Oliver Cromwell. Okay, so to me, look, Gambia is only 50 years next month. Okay, Ghana is 57 years. We've been through what Gambia is going through now, and Ghana is a better place for what we went through so few years back. So to me, it is an evolution that is about to happen.
Samsudeen Zah, as a Gambian in the States, as your country approaches its Golden Jubilee, how do you feel?
Yes, first let's go back to the civil
No, we haven't got much time. Just briefly, how do you feel as a Gambian? Do you feel proud of your nation, or do you think actually we've not achieved enough in 50 years?
I am very proud of Jammeh, and I think he is the best in the stock region. He's a strong man, and he will not let anything undermine the stability he has institutionalized in that country, and the country is very proud of him. And in the wake of this attack, I think it galvanized everybody around him to know that this is a man we need to support and keep the peace in this country.
Okay, Samsudeen Zah, thank you very much. And 10 seconds to you. Gambia at 50.
Oh, I'm very disappointed. We are unable to feed our population after 50 years.
Well, you've achieved food security.
We haven't.
Apparently
we are unable to provide free and compulsory education for our children. We are unable to provide affordable health service for our women and for our men. Therefore, it's a big shame. I have nothing to be proud of after 50 years of neo-colonial rule.
And that's it for today. Thanks to all those of you who've sent in comments to us. Many thanks to our guests, Abdullah Job, John Ofe Ansah and Samsudeen Zah. Join us next week for another edition of Africa Today. Till then, it's goodbye. And on behalf of the whole team, thanks again for watching.